pre-realization stage. Pre-realization. Verse 7 to 12. We talked about realization and post-realization experience. Realization and post-experience. Then what did we cover? Verse 13 to 17. We covered the 5 supreme functions. On the stage above, or from individual manifestations, the totality was the focus. The totality was the focus in the 5 supreme functions in totality. Then we came to individual manifestation management, which was verse 18 to 20, corresponding to the Trishakti. 3 Shaktis, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, and Lakshmi, Saraswati, Parvati was what we handled. And verse 21, closure. Closure, we started from internal and we come to totality as Uma. Prakriti, full Prakriti, the totality as Uma, or Om with U given significance. Uma is what we are dealing with. Now, if you look at this work, this is actually what Sanatana Dharma is actually teaching. So Sanatana Dharma, or from a teaching perspective, what is involved? We find, the reason why this came up is the last sentence I used in the previous class, where we talked about, where we are taking Dakshinakali, was involving the cleansing of tattvas. And then we were actually mentioning about Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13 was what I was mentioning. Chapter 13, verse 2, where Krishna actually says, Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidiyate. Idam shariram, this body, O Arjuna, is the temple that is to be identified. You need to identify this body as the actual temple. So that is what is temple. Gita, chapter 13, verse 2. So that is actually, the chapter fully is Kshetra Kshetrajna. Details is what is discussed. However, the important part is why I actually mentioned it. One of the members who actually joined Jyoti ji, dropped me a message where she was actually mentioning about more spiritual rather than being religious. So Sanatana Dharma, to start with, is not Hinduism. The modern Hindu practices that what we actually see or people actually try to do is far from Sanatana Dharma. Of course, a lot of Western influence, a lot of Buddhist influence, and many other religious influence has shaped modern Hinduism. Of course, religions have to ensure that they are not lost forever. So from that perspective, Hinduism also incorporated multiple things, multiple practice and other details. However, if you look into 13th century, 14th century, 15th century, 16th century, Tantric works, Vedic scriptures, all this, what they are trying to do is to identify the self, identify the connection between nature. The 3 important factors are looked into: Jiva, Jagat, Ishvara. The relation between the 3 is the key identification. You, Supreme, and environment, or individual, totality, environment. Individual, totality, environment. Realizing the relation between this, realizing yourself, realizing your connection with nature, realizing your connection with the totality was the primary goal of Sanatana Dharma, whether it is from the morning practices to the last practice when you go to sleep, was totally around how to realize yourself. From birth, the ritualistic practices to death ritualistic practices was aligned to realizing this in terms of you, your connection to environment, your recycling, and in terms of going through the cycles till you reach a stable state. If you look into, as I mentioned, the scriptures, you will not even find external temples being mentioned. External temple discussions came in the agamic segments on the 18th and 19th century only, where they extrapolated how the other tantra was used for individual realization for external as well. Where Avarna, as I mentioned, so let's say Devata, your heart has 8 petal lotus, and there are Devatas, let's say, aligned to this. So realizing this and understanding that this can be positioned within you. If the same thing can be extrapolated to an external yantra or statue for other perspective, how it needs to be performed was how the extrapolation was done. Why? Because that is how it works from a competition perspective. People are losing the ability to handle Sanatana Dharma. People are losing the ability to try and understand their self. And a lot of other religions are already coming in. And a lot of other things are happening where people are getting far away from the approach of going to understanding nature or self. So if somebody says they are actually spiritual or they are actually more spiritual than religious, it might be they are following more Sanatana Dharma from that perspective. You never know. So basically, what I wanted to actually bring out, this path is not, as I mentioned, relating to, let's say, Hinduism per se. In Christianity, the three questions that was asked to Christ by the devil in terms of tempting. The 3 blocks that comes to Buddha, the 3 obstacles in the path when the Ushu actually comes down from the Reiki mountain, or in terms of, so different heroes' journey. So we call them only as heroes. Why? In Hinduism or in terms of Sanatana Dharma, it is all heroes, spiritual heroes. Why? Because you are Devata. Finally, Devata also exists within you as much as it is external, as much as it is also in this marker. So it should not be saying like, okay, I am Devata, therefore I am not going to look into nature or other things. That also has happened in the modern context. If you look into a lot of arguments in the internet and all, people with very limited knowledge will say like, Adi Shankara was saying Aham Brahmasmi, or Sveda says Aham Brahmasmi, so I am God. So Hindus itself does not understand what is the teachings in our scriptures. It has come to a stage where ego is what is flourishing. And most of the modern centers are happy with it. Most of the spiritual centers that are now there always try to advocate that, because it is ego that sells. If you say that you can do anything, you can do that, you can do this, let's actually do this practice, that practice, this health practice, that health practice, this thing, that thing, and all. If you think you can do it, you can do it. All these are good. Motivation factors are always good. However, boosting your ego to an extent where you don't realize what you are, realize your connection with nature, realize your connection with totality is actually deteriorating for you both on your emotional side and your physical side. So basically, what Adi Shankara is putting out is a roadmap for a hero's journey. Everyone is a spiritual hero. Anyone can be a spiritual hero. Anyone can follow the eternal practice that will help them achieve the four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Anybody can achieve it. Not one or more. You can actually take, and it does not say you have to start now. It says you can take as many births as you want. Any unstable system will go through multiple paths before it comes to a stable state. So definitely, this is more important compared to 3 hours. If you want to leave at 10:40, leave. You can attend a practice session where the short form of individual meanings will be handled. So basically, what Adi Shankara is trying to say, you need to understand. What is Adi Shankara trying to say? Adi Shankara is trying to, before even registering, I mentioned 10 to 10:40 is just a time it would take more time. If you look into the initial message that was sent to you, it specifically says that I may not be completing in 40 minutes. All classes will usually take more than 40 minutes. So if you can stay, stay. If you don't want to stay, don't stay. Don't disturb the decorum of a class. So basically, this is what all spirituality is involved. This is what Adi Shankara is also trying to say. There is a stage where you go through in terms of your maturity, your overall maturity, from a pre-realization to realization. And he clarifies that post-realization also you are not free. You would still get affected. He says how devas within you itself will fight, and how again that has to be brought to its natural rhythm before you are completely free from the cycle. So this is a complete guide for anyone in their spiritual journey. So let's actually get back, because it might be irritating for a lot of people. So let's come back in terms of from a learning perspective. Let's complete the verses. That's what all of you want, right? We'll just complete the verse and close the class. So we are coming back to verse number 19, 20, 21. Let's actually come to 19. We completed till we completed the first Devi, right? We completed Lakshmi. It was clearly evident it was Lakshmi because Kamala was mentioned. A lot of examples Adi Shankara tried to give to clearly say this is Kamala, this is Lakshmi itself. Now let's see how wonderfully he is explaining the other two devatas as well. Every line that every verse is a masterstroke, and the final one is like awesome. So let's look into 19th verse. Kanaka Lasat Kala. Kanaka Lasat Kala. It is gold. Kanaka, first one is gold. Gold, Lasat, lustrous art. Gold, golden lustrous art. Or you can say, but the context is gold is mentioned as precious. So it can be taken as precious, lustrous, Lustrous. Precious lustrous art. Precious. Kanaka. Oh, I'll write Malayalam now. Kanaka. Lasat. Kala. Precious lustrous art. Precious lustrous art. Kanaka Lasat Kala. Sindhu Jalai. Sindhu Jalai. Sindhu Jala is Sindhu Lake. Sindhu Ocean. Sindhu Jala. Sindhu water. Sindhu water. But here, let's actually look into that full word. Sindhu Jalai Ranushinjati. Sindhu Jalai Ranushinjati. Like ocean water flow. Like ocean water flow. like ocean. So it is Sindhu Jala was actually used as like water flow he wanted to mention. So he said like water flow, with smooth like a flow. Like Sindhu water is flowing. It is smooth like the flow of Sindhu water. Lustrous art, precious lustrous art, like smooth flow of Sindhu water. Te guna, your virtue, your virtuous. Ranga bhuvam, your virtuous artistic hope. Your virtuous artistic hope. Your virtuous artistic hope. Te guna ranga bhuvam. Te, your. Guna, virtue. Ranga, artistic. Ranga, artistic. Bhuvam, hope. Your virtuous artistic hope. Precious lustrous art, like ocean or like water, flows in your artistic hope. Who is the goddess of art? Saraswati. In your artistic hope. Arts, lustrous arts, precious lustrous, precious shining, or which actually shows its shine. That kind of arts will smoothly flow where in your virtuous artistic hope. Okay. Bhajati, those who pray to you. Bhajati. Sakimna. 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 So, will that person not have? It is taken in a, it's like a question. That person, will that person not? Sakimna. Will that not? Which means, will that person not have? Will that person not have? Sakimna. Will that not? Or will that person not have? Saji, Sachi Kuja Kumbha. Sachi is Indra's wife. Indra's wife's pot-like breast. Saji Kuja Kumbha. Sachi. Indra's wife, Sachi's pot-like breast. Indra's wife, Sachi. Sachi's pot-like breast. Tadi Parirambha Sukhanubhava. Tadi Parirambha. Tadi Parirambha. Tadi Parirambha. Edge meeting embrace. Tadi Parirambha. Edge meeting embrace. Edge meeting embrace. Sukhanubhavam. Blissful, like blissful experience. Sukham, pleasant, like pleasant experience, or like experience, like that experience. So what is he saying? Those who pray to you, will that person not have Saji's pot-like breast, edge meeting, embrace-like experience? He is trying to say those who pray to you will be able to experience heights of pleasure to senses. Those who pray to you will be able to experience, they will definitely experience, will not they have the opportunity to experience the pleasure to the senses, very high pleasure to the senses. What gives lot of high pleasure to the senses? Arts. Different kinds of arts gives pleasure to the senses. Why senses? Why did I use sense? Because Who is Indra? Indra is Adhipati of Indriyas. Indra is Lord of Indriya. He is the Lord of senses. What is the greatest pleasure to Indra? Indra's greatest pleasure would be what? To embrace his wife and to feel her in his arms will be the greatest pleasure for Indra. So greatest pleasure of Indra is to embrace his wife Saji. That gives him the greatest pleasure. The greatest pleasure then for your senses is compared to the result of prayers to Saraswati. The greatest pleasure to Indriyas or senses is offered by prayers to Saraswati. If you pray to Saraswati, definitely that person will have pleasure to the senses. Everything is art, right? All kinds of things come under the category of art. Whatever gives pleasure to our senses can be considered in the category of art. Everything from that perspective, whatever gives pleasure. It's not just in terms of dance or song is not art. Painting is art, sex is art, different kinds of anything that gives surgery is art. Oh, okay. Anything that gives pleasure to senses. Now I'll correct. Everything that gives pleasure to senses is considered, can be made artistic. So that is what gives pleasure to senses. Skill should not be considered as art. That is from a modern perspective where you try to use different words to mean different things. Oh, he's, instead of saying he is skilled, you will say like he is skilled in his art kind of terminology. Does not move that to art. Art is something that gives pleasure to senses. Kalatmaka. It should be kala from that perspective. Okay. Third, Tava Charanam, your feet. Tava Charanam, your feet. Sharanam, refuge I take. Tava Charanam, your feet. Sharanam, refuge. Refuge I take, obviously. I take refuge. Tava Charanam. 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 Karavani. Nata Maravani Nivasi Shiva. Nivasi and Natamara Vani. Okay. Karavani, I bow. I bow. Karavani, I bow. With hands, with folded hands, I bow. Your feet, refuge I take. Your feet, refuge I take, I bow. Karavani, I bow. Na Tamara Vani, where eternal words. Where eternal words. Na Tamara Vani, where eternal words. What is eternal? Vedic scriptural knowledge is considered to be eternal. Scriptural knowledge is considered to be eternal. Eternal words. Vedic words are eternal. So, where eternal words. Where eternal words. Na Tamara Vani. Na Tamara Vani. Eternal words. Where eternal words. Why eternal? I think I covered in while discussing. I mentioned, hope it is in this class itself that I mentioned. So it is not like nobody wrote the Vedas. Vedavyasa is the compiler of Vedas. Vedavyasa is not saying I wrote the Vedas. So Vedic scriptures from that is considered to be eternal. When I was taking Chandi, I was actually, Chandi class was saying, Markandeya says, I am not the author. He says Brahma. And Brahma in that itself says, I am not the author. I am actually just narrating what I have heard. So it is not written by Brahma or Markandeya or any Vedavyasa. it is considered to be eternal. They are bringing it from, they are remembering what they have heard, and hence it is eternal. So here it is where eternal words nivasi, where eternal words reside. Where eternal words reside. Nivasi. Reside. Shivam, which is auspicious. Which is auspicious. Which is auspicious. So what does that mean? Your feet is auspicious, right? Your feet. In that feet, which is auspicious, I take refuge. I bow. In your feet is where eternal words reside, or Vedic scriptures reside on your feet. So whose feet Vedic scriptures reside? Who is the goddess of art? It is goddess Saraswati. Saras, the essence of this Vedic scriptures is Saraswati. And from Vedas only arts also comes in. Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, each of them has its own purpose and all. So arts also come from Upavedas, including fighting arts is considered. Dhanurveda comes from Vedic. It is a sub-Veda from that perspective. Okay, so basically all that is the the verses that is meaning. And finally, Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura Mardini Ramyakabartini Shailasade. Nivasi means reside. Shiva means which is auspicious. Auspicious. Here what is auspicious? Her feet. Tava Charanam is Shiva. Your Charana is to which I take refuge. I take refuge in your feet, which is auspicious. I bow to it. In your feet only the eternal words resides. Vedic scripture, Vedic work, all eternal knowledge resides on your feet. Victory, victory, O slayer of Mahishasura, beautiful hair, daughter of mountain. So this verse is Kanaga Kanagalasatkala Sindhu Jalairanu Shinchati Teguna Rangabhuvam Phajadi Sakimna Sachi Kucha Kumbha Tati Parirampa Sukhanubhava. Tava Charanam Charanam Karavani Natamaravani Nivasi Shivam Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura Mardini Ramya Kapardini Shailasute. Okay. 20. Verse 20. So Saraswati is complete. Who comes next? Next is coming to goddess Parvati. Lakshmi done, Saraswati done. Next is Parvati. Okay. So Parvati, from that perspective, you have to understand Parvati. Parvati has two variations. Parvati itself is Kali and Gauri. Parvati in her fair complexion is considered Gauri. Parvati in her dark complexion is considered Kali. That's why when you actually do your Karavandana after you wake up, there's a mantra that is chanted on waking up where you say like Karagre Vase, Karamule, kind of. If you don't know also, it is fine. But there is Devatas that are residing in your hand. Their Gauri is what is called up. Because you are starting the day, you usually call Gauri. If it is end of day, usually you will call Devi's dark form. Morning, you will call fair form. Am I audible? It is raining very heavily. Okay. Just a minute. Let me just close the window. Oh. We were talking about oh, that was a later version. So where they actually removed two Devatas and last, first two they kept Devi, last one they changed to Govinda was the later Vaishnava influence that has came in. It was only, it is three corresponds to Lakshmi, Saraswati and Gauri. Later additions from the Vaishnava system actually made it Govinda. It is three Devis itself is what is coming there. If in your system you do Govinda, follow Govinda, it is fine. But basically it is morning you actually look into from that person. Narayana separate is there, Shiva separate is there. Here you look into Shaktis for you to do your work for the day. And then you have Lakshmi, Saraswati and Gauri itself in your hands so that you get the Shakti or you have the energy. With your hands you perform actions and you are calling upon those Shaktis for your support. Okay. So basically Devi has two forms, dark and fair. Gauri, Kali. Same thing on extrapolation becomes Lalita and Kali. So you have Shri and Kali coming in. In the next level, when you look into the other level, where we mentioned, remember we mentioned about, we draw a circle, pi and all, and then we actually showed where Mahasaraswati is there, where Saraswati is there, all we took in the initial classes. Then only foundation was discussed. So that foundation, if you look in, there they comes. And there when they handle Parvati, basically, Parvati and Shiva, you will see crescent moon. Moon is the main representation for that. Why? Because how do you see time? Every day you will see sun. But every day when you see moon, moon has changed. You see passing days by seeing that moon has changed. Every day when you see the sun, sun is there, full circle itself. But moon shows you the passage of time. There's a waxing phase and a waning phase. The movement to full moon and the movement to dark, no moon. That is where you actually said within you also this is happening. Externally also this is happening. The Kundalini Shakti, first class Navadurga, we discussed this also in terms of Devi moving from her own abode to her husband's abode. Same thing happens on the moon side as well. What happens? More and more, it is reflected light from the sun. So that goes on decreasing, 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 you will see. Okay. So moon from that phase shows the time movement, and then it results in you segregate it into two parts. The waxing phase corresponds to Lalita Nitya or Sri Nityas. Corresponds to the waxing phase or the movement to full moon or the bright phase, Shukla Paksha, corresponds to Lalita or Gauri. And the dark phase or the waning phase, the Krishna Paksha, corresponds to Kali Nityas, the dark phase. Okay. So all these are descriptions of Devi itself, Parvati, who actually is Maheshwara's wife, who takes the appearance of, who is Kameshwara's wife, which is Shiva's wife itself, who actually takes the appearance as Gauri and Kali, who takes the appearance of Lalita and Kali, Dakshina Kali or Kali Krama, whichever Devata. But whether based on her form, if it is dark phase, Kali Nityas are around her and the Lalita Nityas are also around her. She itself is the controller of phases. She is Maheshwara's Shakti from that perspective. Now let's look at this verse. So we start with Tava, your Vimalenta, Vimalena. So who is Shailaputri? Shailaputri is also Parvati. The main Devata is Parvati itself. Why? Again, you will have to look into Devi Bhagavata. On why this, out of the three, why significance was given to Maheshwara and Devi and all, has description and all given in Devi Bhagavata. Okay, coming back. Let's just look into explanation here. Tava, your Vimalendu Kulam, pure moon Kula. Vimala, without blemish, without defects. Vimala Indu Kulam, pure moon Kula. What is your pure moon Kula? Your group corresponding to pure moon is Nityas. Nityas, your pure moon Kula. Your pure moon group corresponds to the Nitya goddess. Nitya goddess forms of Devi. Your pure moon Kula. Vimala Indu Kula. Vimalendu Kulam. Vadanendu Malam. Vadana. Indu. Kalam Nanukule. Okay. Vadanendu Malam. Like your moon face. Not Malam. Vadanendu. Like your moon face. Vadanendu. Like your moon face. Malam is definitely impurity only. Like your moon face impurity, you will not say. Vadanendu is like your moon face. Vadana Indu. Face like moon. Like your moon face. Malam Sakalam. Malam Sakalam is for impurities. All. Is for all impurities. Is for impurities all. Or is for all impurities. Is IS. IS. Your moon face is for all impurities. Is I only added. There's no is in this. Basically, if you want to, I'm trying to do it in a way where you can read and understand the meaning by reading, rather than taking it into the way you handle it in Sanskrit. I have not used that kind of approach. I have used it approach where it is easy for you to understand. So, Malam Sagalam. Malam is impurity. Sagalam is all impurities. Is for all impurities. Okay. Sakalam Nanu Kulayate. Nanu, indeed act as bank. Act as a bank. BANK. Not the money bank. Basically, what separates the water, what separates the impurity, it acts as a separator. Bank of a river. So that kind of bank. Indeed act as a bank. Beyond this, so you can actually mention in let's say curly braces or other notes, beyond which impurities cannot cross. Beyond which impurities cannot cross. That is what is meant. Beyond which impurities cannot cross. Because there's a kuleya that is built. There is a bank that is built to prevent impurities from crossing and reaching your Vimalendu Kula. So, Devi and her Nityas. Devi and her Nitya manifestations controlling time-space continuum are pure without blemishes is what Alshankara is saying. Devi and her Nityas, which manifestation, Nityas are her different forms. She herself manifests in different forms as the Nityas. They control time-space continuum. They control time and space factor. Or you feel like time is passing because of their control. They are pure and without blemish. No impurities can cross it. Okay. Okay. Tava vimalendu kulam vadanendu malam sagalam nanu kulayate. Okay. Next line. Kimu. What? Puru Huta Purindu. Puruhuta Puri. Puruhuta Puri is Indrapuri. So we'll have to split it. Purahuta Puri. Puri, then Indu is coming. So he's combining. So if you split that word, it becomes Kimu Puruhuta Puri Indumukhi. Okay. So Purahuta Puri Indumukhi is how it needs to be split. What Puruhudapuri? Puruhudapuri is Indrapuri. Indrapuri. Indra's Puri. Indra's abode. Indra's empire. His place. Puruhutapuri is Indrapuri. Puruhutapuri is Indrapuri. Puri. Indumukhi, moon-faced. Indumukhi, moon-faced. Indumukhi, moon-faced, moon-faced. F-A-C-E-D, moon-faced. Mukha, face, face. Indumukhi, moon-faced. Sumukhi, beautiful faced. Sumukhi Bhirasau, beautiful faced damsels. Beautiful faced damsels. Beautiful faced damsels. Beautiful faced damsels. Sumukhi Bhirasau. Vimukhi Kriyate. DAMSCLS. Damsels. Damsels. Correct. Basically, Apsaras. There are different categories of people who actually serve Indra. That's why I try to avoid Apsara. So here just understand it as those who live in Indrapuri. Beautiful faced, moon faced, beautiful faced, the most beautiful faced, moon-like faced damsels who live in Indrapuri is what is meant. Okay. Beautiful faced, moon faced damsels who live in Indrapuri, Puruhudapuri. Okay. Vimukhi kriyate, can turn their face away. Can turn. Kimu means what? You will understand the question he is asking only if you read the full sentence. That's why. Can turn their face away. Can turn their face away. Adi Shankara is saying what can turn their face away. So it is hard to actually, let's say, get Apsaras and others for a sadhaka. A sadhaka will not be able to easily satisfy or try to invoke an Apsara, right? But he is saying that what Apsara, what kind of Devi, that the moon-faced beautiful Apsaras of Indrapuri cannot turn their face away from your sadhaka. Even the most beautiful faced, moon-faced Apsaras of Indrapuri, even the most beautiful moon-faced Apsaras of Indrapuri cannot turn their face away from your sadhaka. Okay. He's asking a question. What can actually turn their face? Nothing can actually. That is the level of he in Soundarlahari mentions, right? If you have come, then Saraswati and Lakshmi obviously will be there with you. There's no other go. They will also have to serve you. So from that perspective, the sadhaka enjoys the benefit of having Lakshmi and Saraswati as well if Kameshwari or Parvati comes. So that is implied the moment the Devi appears. So Apsaras and all definitely cannot turn their faces away to your Upasaka, to your Sadhaka. What can turn their face? Nothing can turn. Even the most beautiful damsels cannot turn their face. Okay. Mama tu matam. Mama, my. Tu matam. My but opinion. Tu means but. So it's a but my opinion. But my opinion. Mama, my, me. Tu, but Madam, opinion. So if you try to put it into proper English, but my opinion is what he is trying to say. My opinion is my opinion is, but my opinion, okay. Mama tu Madam. Shiva Namadhane. O1. O1, you keep it in braces because that is not mentioned. That only when the full sentence comes, you will understand. Here it is a saying like, oh, you who is what? Shiva Namathane. Oh, one who keeps only Shiva name as her only wealth. Who keeps Shiva name as her only wealth. Shiva Nama is her only dhana. She does not need anything. For her, Shiva name itself is her Madam is opinion. Mama tu Matam. Mama tu Matam Shiva Namathane. Oh, one who keeps Shiva name as her only wealth. Shiva Namathane. Shiva Namadhane, who keeps Shiva name as her only wealth. Bhavati Kripaya, your kindness, with your kindness. With your kindness. With your kindness. Bhavati Kripaya. Kimuta Kriyate. Kimuta Kriyate. What all cannot be done? What all cannot be done? What all cannot be done? Again, posted as a question, conveying that anything is achievable with your kindness. Is my humble opinion, O Devi, who does not keep anything other than the name Shiva that we call you. Anything can be achieved with your kindness is my humble opinion. Even when you don't keep anything other than the name Shiva. Anything can be achieved with your kindness is my humble opinion. Is my opinion even when you don't keep anything other than the name Shiva. Okay. Devata, of course, Parvati. Nityas are mentioned. So from this, the waxing phase of moon is considered as Lalita Nitya. Waning face is Kali Nitya. Both aspects are aspects of Parvati. In fair complexion, as I mentioned, she becomes Lalita Nityas. In dark complexion, she becomes Kali Nityas. Same thing it is. In her fair complexion, she is called Gauri. In her dark complexion, she is called Kali. All moon phases are associated with Devi itself. Okay. Modus Parvati. So completed Lakshmi, Saraswati, and Parvati. Now all his lines, all his verses were master strokes. But the last line is again is where the gist of it actually comes. So he's actually his concluding verse is also as strong as his first verse. First verse is he completed Navadurga. His last 21st verse. Reason 21st verse we are coming to Uma. So let's actually look into Uma. Okay. Okay, last verse. I, my, O Devi. Again he came to I. Last verse, he actually concluding, he again came to I. So he is actually again getting into third person. Devi is there. So he finally realized that he has completed this masterpiece, and then he makes a very interesting statement to Devi, which is coming in the last verse. So he's saying, O Devi, O Devi. So which Devi is mentioned in the same line itself? Bhavitya Vya Mume is mentioned. Ume is mentioned in the end of line itself. First line itself says, Ai mai Deena Dayalu Taya Kribayeva Tvaya Bhavityayam Bhavi Tavyam Ume is mentioned. Bhavi Tavyam Ume. Bhavi Tavyam Ume. Okay. Uma is mentioned. So, O Devi, Uma. I, O Devi. My towards me. I, my. I, my relation is coming. Mother, me. I, my. O Devi, towards me. I, my. Deena Dayalutaya. Towards me. You who is compassionate to weak. Deena. Deena to Deena or weak, you are Dayalu. Who is compassionate to weak. Who is compassionate to weak. O Devi, towards me, you who is compassionate to weak. Kripaya, Kripayaiva, please. Please. Bhavitavyam Ume. You be as expected. You be as expected, Uma. You be as expected. Bhavitavyam. Be as expected. As expected. Bhavitavyam. As expected. Tvaya, you. Bhavitavyam. Expected. Be as expected. Tvaya. Tvaya. Thou. Be as expected. Tvaya. You. Be as expected. Uma. So here he is actually making a humble statement. where he says, O Devi Uma, towards me, you who is compassionate to weak, please be as expected. Or please be compassionate to me. You are compassionate to people who are weak. Please be compassionate to me. O Devi Uma, towards me, you who is compassionate to weak, please you be as expected. Okay. Next line. I, O Devi. Jagato Janani. Jagat, universe. Janani, mother. Universe, mother. Mother of universe. Jagato Janani. Jagato Janani. Now that mother-child relationship is coming. He is actually on his knees to Devi and saying, I, Jagato Janani, O Devi, universe mother, mother of universe. Kribayasi. You are compassionate. You are compassionate. Kripayasi. You are compassionate. You are compassionate. Kripayasi. Yathasi. As you are. As you are. As you are. That is your natural behavior, is what he is saying. As you are compassionate. Your basic behavior is being compassionate. You are compassionate. Yathasi. As you are. Tatha. Tatha is so. Tatha anumita sirate. Okay. Tatha anumita and asirate. Okay. Tatha, so, anumita, inferred. Anumita, asirate, you are. So inferred you are. Anumita, inferred. Inferred. Anumita, inferred. Asirate, you are. Inferred, INFER already. So he is saying, naturally you are compassionate. And that is the opinion about you as well. And that is the opinion about you. Naturally, you are compassionate, and that is the opinion about you. So he is actually uplifting Devi, saying, you are compassionate, be compassionate towards me. You are naturally compassionate and all. And then he makes the most important statement. The last line actually. After that, it is the usual line, which is, yet uchidam. Yes, whatever is appropriate. Yet uchita matra. That much. Yet uchidam. Whatever is appropriate, that much. Yet uchidam atra. Atra matra. Whatever is uchidam. Give me whatever is appropriate, that much. Yet yeduchita matra. Yeduchita matra. Yet uchitam atra. Whatever is appropriate, that much. Bhavatya. Felt. Bhavatya. Bhavatya. Bhavatyurari kuruta. Bhavatya urari kuruta. As admissible. As admissible do it. Kuru means to do. Kuruta, do it. As admissible, do it. As admissible. 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 As admissible. Whatever is appropriate, that much felt as admissible, do it. Bhavatya urari kuruta. Felt as admissible, do it. Whatever is appropriate, that much felt as admissible, do it. Kuruta. Durutapa. Durutapa. Difficult troubles. Difficult troubles. Durutapa. Durutapam. Durutapam. Apakurude. Durutapam apakurude. Durutapam. Difficult troubles. Apakurude, you remove. Apakurude, you remove. Okay, so he's saying whatever is appropriate, that much felt as admissible, do it. Difficult troubles, you remove. Okay, very important. That is the summary of a spiritual journey that he's actually making. Okay, and then last line, victory, victory, O slayer of Mahishasura, beautiful hair, daughter of mountain. So whatever is appropriate, that much felt as admissible, do it. Difficult troubles, you remove. So you remove or you do only what you feel as appropriate and admissible. This is the master stroke line that I mentioned. Why it is master stroke line? If you look into when we talk about Urvarukamiva Bandhana, Mrityur, so when you actually look at Mrityunjaya Gayatri, we actually have that, right? Only when the fruit is ripe, it should actually get detached. Or we'll take Adi Shankara itself. Adi Shankara, when he actually, in Bhagavad Gita, when he actually, Dhyana Sloka of Adi Shankara is very popular, relating to Bhagavad Gita. So whenever Advaita Vedantins or others, Vedantins generally when they take class, they actually start with this particular verse. Om Parthaya Pradibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Graditam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharate Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvamanusandadhami Bhagavat Gite Bhavadveshinim. This is a beautiful verse how he starts. Now the question is, the verse meaning is that which was taught to Arjuna by Lord Narayana himself. That which is taught to Arjuna by Lord Narayana himself. Om Parthaya Pradibodhidam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam. Okay. And then Vyasena Graditam Purana Muninam Madhye Mahabharatam, which was written by epic sage Vyasa. Which was written by epic sage Vyasa in the middle of Mahabharata. Where is Bhagavad Gita? In the middle of Mahabharata. And then Advaitamrita Varshinim Bhagavatim. Oh, Mother Goddess, who showers nectar of Advaita, called the Bhagavad Gita, which is Ashtadashadhyayini, which has Ashtadasha Adhyayas. Oh, Mother Goddess, who showers the nectar of Advaita, called Bhagavad Gita, which has 18 chapters. Which has 18 chapters. Ashtadashadhyayini. Amba, O Mother, Tvamanusanda Dhami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim. I meditate on you, Mother. who removes all past karmas. I meditate on you, mother, who removes all past karmas. This is the first line he starts. Okay. Then the question rises. Adi Shankara after that gives salutations to Krishna, Vyasa, different devatas and all he will give in Dhyana Shloka. But the question arises, first verse, why did he address Devi? He did not address Krishna. Krishna is the one who is giving Bhagavad Gita. He should have ideally addressed Krishna, right? Why is he addressing Devi before Krishna when writing about Bhagavad Gita? And commentators say Adi Shankara is right. Why Adi Shankara is right? Because he says from the verse itself, it is clear where he actually mentions what is the quality of mother. Let's say she is cutting in the kitchen with knife. Kid makes noise, Amma, I want that knife, I want that. Amma will not give. No matter how much the child cries, if that is harmful for the child, the mother will not give. Let's say it's a baby who is feeding on milk. He sees the mother or others eating other food. He cries, she cries, saying like, I need that, I need that. Does the mother give? No. The mother only gives the quantity of what is most appropriate and which would be beneficial for the child. The quality of mother to offer the required quantity based on the maturity of the child. Even if the child cries for playing with something or eating something, only based on what is suitable for the maturity and its right quantity will be offered by the mother. The transition to a state of liberation should be staged and based on maturity. This is a very important lesson, which Adi Shankara clearly knows. Maturity is staged and based on maturity only what should be offered. As I mentioned, let's say some start okay, some people actually nowadays get into the wrong branch. So let's say you climb the spiritual mountain, you attained, and the last step is the final step, and you say that the last step you make a jump and then you land in this. Now the problem with this person or the person who is actually saying is he or she thinks the last jump is what made that person reach that destination. So after that, this person says, nothing else is required. Only Mahashodashi is required. Or let's say Shodashi is required. Or Dakshina Kali is required. That person is getting all the others into a doom. If standing at the bottom of the mountain, you try to make the final jump, will you ever make that jump to the top? You will never make. You will only keep falling and getting into issues. At a more troublesome level, I usually say in class, whenever there is a Mahavidya that is involved, don't try to do it without Krama. Mahavidya is Mahavidya. It is going to teach you. It is going to directly teach you how to teach you that nothing makes sense. Just remove whatever is important from your, if your child is most important in your life, remove a child from the equation. You will immediately realize that all the things that you are doing on a daily basis has nothing to do with. It's not at all important. If wealth is important, your life, your role was important, and suddenly that goes for a toss, why am I going to? All these things, what I'm doing is meaningless. So to teach the meaningless things of life, you will get into trouble if you actually don't follow it in the proper way. And Adi Shankara knows people can get messy and people can get, I want that, I want this kind of stuff. But he says, Amma, I know you are mother. I know you are compassionate. However, give me only what is appropriate for me. Whatever is appropriate for me, based on my maturity. Right now, Adi Shankara is not making that statement. You, when chanting Mahishasura Mardini, is telling Devi, Amma, I might actually say that this and all. However, you are compassionate. You are the mother. Give me only what I deserve or what maturity I have. Whatever felt is admissible to my mouth, only that you offer. Only based on my maturity, give me. Before I am ripe, don't pluck the fruit. If I get into trouble from that perspective. So people do that nowadays. A lot of people do that. Power craze, other things, commercial centers. They really don't care about the aspirant. They will get the people into trouble. However, spiritual journey should be staged and based on maturity. And Adi Shankara is very clear. And hence, later predecessors, while writing commentary, says Adi Shankara actually prayed to Devi as the first liner in Bhagavad Gita, not to Krishna, because she decides. She is the only one. Actually, call somebody else and try to distribute, will be trouble. Adi Shankara knows if mother is distributing, will give only what is felt appropriate for the child. So he makes a grand stroke in this journey of spirituality, saying, do or take what is appropriate. Yet uchitam, what is appropriate? Matra, only that extent. Bhavit, bhavatya, felt. Urukuruta, as admissible. Whatever is felt as admissible is appropriate, only that quantity, only that much. You help me out in this. Here trouble means from samsara sagara, troubles of samsara sagara or life you remove, which is your forward journey in your spiritual path. Okay. So that is about the master stroke and what Adi Shankara actually trying to bring out in this beautiful journey where he has actually written the map, and then he says, just because there is a map, don't jump around. You will land in trouble. And when Devi is actually feeding in Krama, Devi is giving what is appropriate for you. You can reach heights and with maturity. So what is felt as appropriate? And then Vayuma, of course. Uma also, that also I'll have to mention. So in Mahishasuramardini Stotra, Adi Shankara outlines individual realization, external Shaktis that play a role in supporting it. The Stotra covers in terms of Kundalini Yoga aspects. It covers the philosophy of spiritual progress. It shows the Devata in Rahasyatraya, as I mentioned, the three Shaktis as Saraswati, Lakshmi, Parvati. Then in terms of Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, the different Durgas based on Tattvas. All this was discussed from the context of Chandi Vidya, but as a generic one, which anyone can follow from that perspective. Last verse, identify goddess also as Supreme Brahman with significance on Prakriti. Okay, it is ending requesting Devi to guide through the various phases of spiritual progress based on aspirant maturity. Make me progress only based on what I can handle. Make me progress only based on what I can handle is the last line request. Before that, he says, Amma, you are compassionate. Uma, you are compassionate. But what is Uma? The Shakti of Shabda Brahma. The Shakti of Shabda Brahma that causes all manifestations is Supreme Mother. What is Devi? Awareness is individually itself cannot manifest. The Shakti that causes manifestation is the Mother, the Supreme Mother. That is Shabda Brahma. The Shakti of Shabda Brahma. What is that? Pranava is Shabda Brahma. What is Shabda Brahma is Pranava, the first sound, which causes creation. And the Shakti of it, the energy of it is called the Shakti of Shabda Brahma. What is the first one? A-U-M. A-U-M. Om. Om. A-U-M. Om is the vibration. A-U-M. A. So here sustenance is given significance. Sustenance is given significance. The manifestation aspect of sustenance is given significance in A. U is creation aspect. Dissolution. A-U-M. In Om, sustenance has significance. So we say everything vibrates as Om. Everything created vibrates as Om. We take breath as Om. So all this aspect is relating to the sustenance aspect. Anything manifested in sustenance state will be vibrating as Om. A, U, M. A, U, M. So A, U, M. M is dissolution. It is dissolving. Then into silence. M is for dissolution, destruction. It closes with So sustenance is significant in the Om. Every manifestation vibrates in Om naturally. A is sustenance. U is creation. M is destruction. M is destruction. A is sustenance. U is creation. M is destruction. Uma is the natural vibration where creation has significance. Om, where sustenance has significance. Uma, U-A-M. U-M-A, Uma, U-M-A, sorry. Uma. U has significance. Creation has significance. You are actually moving it. A-U-M, A moved to the back. Then U comes. Sustenance, creation, destruction. Sustenance, creation, destruction. Sustenance, creation, destruction. So if the first part goes, then it becomes UMA. It is a circle, a cycle that goes. You go into cycle of birth, death cycle till you become a stable state. So Om, A move to the back, or if you move forward in Om, you hear it as Uma, U-M-A. Uma. Uma, where creation has significance. Uma has all three Shaktis. I already mentioned about three Shaktis. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, Guna. Then Lakshmi, Saraswati, Parvati, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, Mahakali. All is there in Uma. She represents the supreme Shakti of Brahman as dynamism of vibration. It is the dynamism of the Shakti of vibration. Has the Shakti of vibration. There is a lot of commentaries about Om and all. Then Uma from that perspective. In another suggestion, it is mentioned that Om, A is Purusha. A is Purusha. U is Prakriti. A is Purusha. U is Prakriti. M is Jiva. Or A is totality of awareness. U is totality of energy. And M is the combination that results in manifestation Jiva. A is Purusha, U is Prakriti, M as Jiva. Om, representation of Supreme Purusha. And Uma, representation of Supreme Prakriti. Prayoga is full only 21 verses, right? So already mentioned, there's no specific Prayoga. It's basically a chant for materialistic and spiritual prosperity. We covered that, right? What are the benefits? What is mentioned in Shiva Rahasya Purana? What is the order in which you have to chant? How to do Manasa Dhyana of Mahishasura Mardini? How to offer her Manasa Puja? Do a quick recap, Kavita ji and Radhika ji, in today's evening practice session. A quick recap on the full details so that it will help. And so Uma is the Supreme Prakriti. So the final verse is actually a masterpiece. Advice of a realized sadhaka. Adi Shankara understands the vessel can hold only based on capacity. You are the vessel. You are the kshetra. I started with that, right? You are the Kshetra. You are the body, you are the vessel. So you can hold only to capacity. And he requests Devi for staged and safe progress based on maturity. That is how he finishes that particular stotra. So, wishing you all as well a safe and staged progress based on maturity. Thanking Adi Shankara for this valuable work and Devi for for giving us at least some details about the inner essence of this wonderful stotra. Vande Guru Parampara.